Hi YouTube, it's Dave, Blue Jacket 66, here for another video. This is a big one for me. It's probably my most important video so far. It's a full circle collection of a card for me, and I'm actually emotional about it, and it's very humbling. Arrived today in a big box, a box that could probably fit a couple basketballs in it, but it was just for a single card that I won a Robert Edward auction last week. I'm going to show you the card. This video is not for the faint of heart. This is going to be a long one for me. It's not one for you to, well, if you're going to watch it, I'd like you to watch the whole thing. I think we're going to learn something. We're going to talk about this regional food card, and you're going to see some things that you will never see again. And I think you're going to learn some stuff that is unbeknownst to 99% of the collecting community, and I think you'll learn something about this issue that no one else really knows. It's a really rare issue. So first I'm going to show you the card. It's in an old PSA holder because it is extraordinarily scarce. Leland's called this card one of the rarest Mickey Mantle cards in the hobby. Aaron Wasser, who writes for Sports Collector Daily, described the whole set as excruciatingly rare. Of this card, PSA is graded a total of 16 in the world by PSA. And this is so important. I got a computer up, I got a book up, I got some stuff, but of the 16 graded, they are all either poor or authentic. There is one graded a 2, one graded a 3, one graded a 4, and one graded a 7 of this card. I happen to have just won the 3, so of the 16 of these known and graded by PSA, this is the third highest issue. Leland's, or this is an article in Forbes magazine about a PSA 2 last year, about a year ago, that was offered by Leland's. They say it's a rare and hazardous Mickey Mantle card unearthed by a hoarder. That's in Forbes magazine. I think that PSA 2 went for $12,000 or $13,000. Beckett, way back in the 80s, the Beckett of Beckett magazine, Beckett cards, Dr. Beckett ranked this 1954 issue as the 14th most expensive baseball card. That, however, is grade dependent, rare, etc. Very rare. Here it is. It's the 1954 Stahl Meyer Mickey Mantle. This is a picture that was taken during his rookie year in 1951. You can see this image in the 1951 New York Yankees World Series program. And if you ever find online or see the Type 1 photograph for which this was taken by the Millport Printing Company, he has pimples all over his face. He's clearly very young. They've kind of airbrushed or somehow gotten those out. Stahlmeyer made baseball cards in 1953, 1954, and 1955. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you these cards and then talk a little bit about it. In a book that I prize, and Never Cheaper by the Dozen by Brian Powell, Chapter 3 is on this card. It's called The Mysterious and Mesmerizing Mantle Prize, and there's a whole chapter on this card. This is what Brian has to say about it. The Stahlmeyer Franks card in Mickey Mantle is held in extreme high regard by connoisseurs of his finest cards. It's a beauty, scarcity, rarity, and the desirability and fascinating story are quietly making themselves known to the hobby. And Brian talks about how the beautiful 1954 Dan D card, which if you go to my video I've done on regional mantles, you can see a dandy. It's the same image, but Brian talks about how he held the dandy potato chip card as being so gorgeous and beautiful and unforgettable. But he says, eventually, when I saw a Stahl Meyer card, my feelings for the dandy were completely blown out of the water. These are 3.5 by 4.5 inches, so they're larger than a regular issue. And I'm going to just show you the cards and kind of talk over while you kind of can look at the cards, and we're going to learn about this incredibly fascinating story of Stahl Meyer hot dog cards in general. They're excruciatingly rare. 1953, 178 Stahl Meyers of all the players were made. 55 Mantles have been graded by PSA. The 1954, only 119 Stahl Meyer cards have been graded. And again, here's one of them, one of the 16 Mantles graded. In 1955, PSA is graded 140 of all Stahl Meyer issues and 21 Mantles. So I'm going to show you something that you're never going to see again, and we're going to learn a little bit about Stahl Meyer Frank baseball cards. Okay, here's this card. It's got his old, clearly early 50s facsimile autograph. Name on the back, or name. Then on the back, it shows how kids can get a Stahl Meyer baseball kit. With this, you send in a hot dog wrapper and 10 cents to get your baseball kit. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and show you what I've done here, and I'm not sure how many people have done this. I know the #1 Mickey Mantle registry or master set has this, but as far as I know, I'm the only other one. And this is, as a Mantle collector and a regional food collector, this is a lifelong dream of mine. I remember the first time I saw a Stahl Meyer card, I didn't think I would ever own one. Here is the 1953 issue and the 1955. So here you have all together the 1953, 1954, and 1955 Stahl Meyer hot dog Mickey Mantles. You're not going to see it anywhere else. So in general, these are typically graded authentic or poor. Now let's just talk about this. So in 1953, Stahl Meyer Meats is out of New York City, and they put a card from each of the New York teams in hot dogs. So you had 3 cards from the Giants, 3 from the Yankees, and 3 from the Dodgers. The Yankees were Mantle, Rizzuto, and Bauer. The Dodgers were Campanella, Snyder, and Hodges. And the Giants were Thompson, Lockman, and Irvin. Starting in 54 and 55, they'd add Mays, but there was no Mays in 53. And here is why these are so scarce and typically in shitty condition, is, believe it or not, these were placed in the hot dogs, not on the outside with the wrapper. They were used as a stiffener. So you would have your, how many hot dogs are on each side of a, you'd have your, 6 hot dogs here. Then they would put the card in and then put 6 more hot dogs on the other side. So these cards were sandwiched between hot dogs within the cellophane wrapper. And in the 50s, these were typically, hot dogs were in the deli department on ice, so there would be some melting, some thawing. They're trash. They're all grease. They put paraffin on these. They put paraffin on these to try to protect really the hot dogs, to get the ink from leaching out and damaging the hot dogs. But the hot dog grease and whatnot would trash the cards. That's why there are so few of these surviving. And those that do survive typically are terribly stained, or they have the ink blotches on them, or they're dirty, because they were actually sitting in the hot dog wrapper between the hot dogs as a stiffener for the package. The other way that you could get them, and there is scarce evidence of this, I don't know why, this is not 500 years ago, but it was just 1950, and a lot of people have been collecting a long time, but evidently they were also giving out at the stadium, Yankee Stadium, Polo Grounds, and Ebbets Field, with the purchase of 2 hot dogs. Now, the vendors that would walk around the stadium selling hot dogs, you could not get a card from them. You had to go to the Stahl Meyer hot dog stand within the stadium, and you had to buy 2 hot dogs to get a card. And I don't think you had your choice of the card. And obviously, when you bought the hot dogs at the grocery store, you had no idea what you're getting, because they were packed between the hot dogs. But reportedly, if you bought 2 hot dogs, they would give you your tray, and there would be your 2 hot dogs, and between them there was a little slot, and they would put one of these cards in that slot. You'd go back to your seat with your Coke, your 2 dogs, and a card. Now, you notice the corners are rounded. They're that way. And because they didn't want the cards to cut the cellophane and the grease and juice to leak all over. So those were cut in order to spare puncture of the packaging. In 1953, interestingly, on the back, "Hey kids, you can win free tickets to a game of your choice, either the Yankees, Giants, or Dodgers." And to do that, you had to send in 2 cards and a letter of 25 words or less telling them why you like Stahlmeyer Frankfurters. And the 200 most original letters will win tickets. So you would think that this one would even be the more scarce, the 1953, but it's definitely in the 1954. Beginning in 1954 and 55, you didn't have to send in your card. You had to send in a couple wrappers and a dime to get a pennant and a poster and whatnot. What else do we need to know about these? You don't see them. I mean, you can get on eBay, and there's the same old ones that are around, that are really in bad condition. So it's not like in the 1970s and 80s. If you read about Stahlmeyer and you read about the cards, people would go around. People loved regionals in the 70s and 80s. It was really big, and they're becoming really big again. But you could not find these cards. If you go to a national, and I go to the nationals, you don't see the Mantles. At the last national in Cleveland, I did see some Stahlmeyers of, Bauer and Lockman. I think maybe Rizzuto. But clearly by the numbers, the Mantles you don't see. So this is a mic drop dream come true for me. I'm done with the Stahlmeyers, and I have this 3. There's only 16 graded by PSA, and this is the 3rd highest graded one. This one is poor because there's some little creases across it. This one's poor because it was in contact with hot dogs. So you see there's ink, which you typically see on these, that has kind of gone out into the car. There's dirt from the hot dog. The back, you get ink. So, the technical grade is poor, but it presents, beautifully. And with cards like this, to be honest with you, the grades don't matter as long as it looks fairly nice and it looks like it hasn't been, torn in half or whatnot. So, I think outside of my 54 Briggs Meats Mantle, which is even rarer, these are my pride and joy. The scarcity compared to a 52 Mantle. 52 Mantles, the population is 100 to 1 of these. It's about 100, for every 100 52 mantles are graded, one of these are graded. And again, these are all authentic or poor. This one is special, it's exceptionally rare. So, again, you guys know I'm a 50s guy, I'm a Mantle guy, and I'm a big regional food and beverage. You know, Hires root beer, Red Heart dog food, Jello brand, Wheaties, all those. In 50s, there was tons of food and beverage and regional issues. You know, the Johnston cookies, Aaron's. If you look at the channel and find that video, and you can also find a video I've done on some Mantle regionals. So I know this is a long video. This is one that you kind of watch in bed, but the idea is to show off a little because I had to, and I'm sorry, but I had to. This is a big deal for me. I've accomplished this. And the other thing is to learn something. You know, it's fun learning about cards, I think. And this isn't information that I experienced myself. Again, a lot of it's out this Never Cheaper by the Dozen, this book. Go to Amazon, Brian Powell. I have no association whatsoever, but he goes over many regional issues from all the. It's a multi-hundred page book with beautiful pictures, and he is the expert. And when I got this card and completed this run, I emailed him immediately to let him know, because it's a big deal to him, and it's a big deal to me. So 1953, 1954, 1955 Stahl, Meyer, Franks, Mickey Mantles. Thanks a lot, guys, for watching my videos. I appreciate it. Thank you.